welcome to a new reading vlog. Yay! Firstly, I wanted to update you guys on what I read over the past few days because obviously I did a fan expo vlog instead of a reading vlog, so I wasn't able to update you. So I was pretty busy, got through all these guys. So first up, I read Every Last Fear. This is a thriller. It came out in 2021. Absolutely loved it. It's about this guy, Matt, who is a college student, and when he was younger, his brother got caught up in a crime that he possibly didn't commit. And there was a true crime series that covered it very much like, Paradise Lost, Making a Murderer. But it really didn't help his older brother's case. He's still in prison. And if anything, it kind of tore his family apart a bit being, under the camera like that. So Matt didn't really want anything to do with it, and now he's out on his own. But he quickly finds out that his family went to Mexico and were found dead, all dead, in their beach condo. And the FBI gets involved very quickly. Like literally the first chapter is like, your family's dead, I'm the FBI, let's solve this crime. And it's crazy fast paced. As far as the twist goes, I definitely didn't figure it all out. I had kind of an inkling of who was involved. I'm not very good at figuring out twists, so the fact that I kind of figured out who is involved, anyone who's a little bit better at me than figuring out twists will probably figure it out very quickly, but I had a great time. I knocked off a book on my February TBR, which was Dark Fall. Now, this was quite disappointing. The first half was incredible, but you can literally see where I stopped caring because the tabbies stop. First half, awesome. Second half, it just went on and on. Like, this dude could have used like 100 pages less and this book would have been perfect, except for the fact that there's no real female lead. It's just a bunch of dudes running around. A woman shows up near the kind of halfway mark, but she's sort of like a damsel in distress, which I didn't love. But this is a book from, I think, the early 90s, so it's a little bit tougher back then for females to take a lead in stories. But this is set around an apartment complex where on, I think it's Christmas Eve. Yes, on Christmas Eve, there's a crazy storm, and all of a sudden, all the people that are in this office building having their office Christmas parties disappear. Pretty cool concept. Pretty great first half of the book. Pretty garbage second half. I read 2 mangas. Demon Slayer Volume 1. Loved it so much. This one, I think it's Beastars. I might be saying that wrong. It's all about animals going to a high school. I think it's high school, maybe university. Anyway, it's a bunch of animal students and they're divided into carnivores and herbivores. And there's all these rules in this world about how the carnivores can't attack the herbivores. But right as this story starts, a herbivore is killed by a carnivore in this school. And so everyone is freaking out. But it's also about this really sweet, lonely, dorky, nerdy, emo wolf who is part of the drama club, but he is a tech because he's not, extroverted enough to be an actor. And I was like, am I falling in love with a wolf? This really awakened something in me that I think I need to examine. My current read is To Break a Covenant. And the reason I'm reading this is because it's a new release from 2021 that was on my wanting to read list. But also I'm currently creating a D&D campaign that is completely from my own imagination. And one of the things I'm fascinated by are towns where they're built on top of mines, and then the mines catch fire for whatever reason and just burn for 50 years, and so everyone abandons the town because you can't live there. And so I'm creating a campaign around one of those towns. I can't tell you anything more. Anyway, this book is about a very similar situation. After a mining explosion coated Moon Basin in ash, residents moved just outside the uninhabitable zone and set up a new settlement in the mine's shadow. Now, the new basin relies on its haunted reputation to bring in tourists, but there's more truth to the rumors than most are willing to admit. I'm about 70 pages in. I'm loving the main characters. Nothing really has happened yet. So I'm thinking that all this spooky stuff is going to start happening soon, and I can't wait. But for this particular reading vlog, I thought it would be fun to do a themed TBR for the week because I was setting up my March TBR, going through my library books, going through my books that I want to read that I own, and I realized I had a couple that were all about female rage, and International Women's Day is coming up. So I thought, wouldn't it be fun to just read a couple of books about women getting angry and probably killing men. I feel like I'm always in the mood for that. So I'm gonna do my first ever themed reading week. Hey! So let's run through the books. First up is a new release called Manhunt, and this is getting a lot of hype. I actually pre-ordered this and it just came in. So Beth and Fran spend their days traveling the ravaged New England coast, hunting feral men and harvesting their organs in a gruesome effort to ensure they'll never face the same fate. Robbie lives by his gun and one hard-learned motto: other people aren't safe. I mean, that's literally how I live my life. After a brutal accident entwines the three of them, this found family of survivors must navigate murderous turfs, a sociopathic billionaire bunker brat, and awkward relationship dynamics, all while outrunning packs of feral men and their own demons. The other one is also a new release. I believe this came out in January, and this is called The Violence. The premise of this one is, let's see, Chelsea Martin is in an abusive relationship with her husband, and they have a 17-year-old daughter. Cut off from all support, controlled and manipulated for years, Chelsea has no resources and no one to turn to. But the facade crumbles when a mysterious condition overtakes the nation, known as the violence. It causes the infected to experience sudden explosive bursts of animalistic rage and attack anyone in their path. The ensuing chaos brings opportunity for Chelsea and inspires a plan to liberate herself and her family once for all. This is also getting a lot of hype. Pretty exciting. I mean, look at all those blurbs on the back. And lastly, in my female rage, I have gone with Animal, which I just got from the library. So, Joan has spent a lifetime enduring the cruelties of men, but when one of them commits a shocking act of violence in front of her, she flees New York in search of Alice, the only person alive who can help her make sense of her past. In the sweltering hills above Los Angeles, Joan unravels a horrific event she witnessed as a child that has haunted her every waking moment while forging the power to finally strike back. Animal is a depiction of female rage at its rawest and visceral exploration of the fallout from a male-dominated society. So, that's what I want to try and get to this week. Let's get some rage out, ladies. Because I know you all have it. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping it's not going to be too dark of a week. But I'll be reading lots of manga and comics, I guess, in between to keep things a little bit lighter if I need it. But I'm really looking forward to it. Women Rage Week! Ah! quick reading update because I got a lot of reading done this weekend. I finished To Break a Covenant. Very disappointing for me. I'm not a huge YA horror person. It takes a lot for me to like a YA horror book. And I really enjoyed the premise of To Break a Covenant, and I really liked the setting. But something that I just think I don't like in YA horror is a lot of the sort of logic stuff. Like, these teenagers are just running around, doing whatever the hell they want, stealing cars, disappearing in mines, and like literally no adult is paying attention. And it just doesn't seem logical to me at all. Like, so I just really struggle with that. So yeah, that was kind of a disappointment. But then I read The Violence. And let me tell you, this is probably one of the best books I've read this year. I've read one other book this year that I loved as much as this. It is outstanding. Holy crap. It's so good. Exactly what I was craving. Some female rage. So in The Violence, oh look, I kind of matched my sweater. In The Violence, we follow a woman, Chelsea, who is married to a very horribly abusive and terrible man. And they have 2 young girls. And Chelsea's mom, Patricia, is also quite abusive. Manipulatively, emotionally abusive. Whereas David is both physical and emotional and manipulative and terrible all around. And then this pandemic breaks out called The Violence, which is where people just suddenly snap and get violent and kill a person. And then they snap out of it and they have no memory and they just go on about their day. And throughout the story, in the background, you know, scientists, the government, they're trying to figure out where this is coming from, how it's being spread, how to cure it. And so there's sort of a political element going on in the background about vaccines and who gets the vaccine and what we should charge for a vaccine. Nothing, it should be free. And so Chelsea gets this idea where she's like, okay, what if I like goad my shitty husband into attacking me and then I call the cops and tell them that he is contagious with the violence. They'll take him away. Super smart plan. It totally works. They take him away and they put him in a facility where they're keeping people who have this disease, even though he doesn't have it, which is awesome. Then Chelsea gets the disease. Chelsea gets the violence. And I won't share any more than that. I think that's pretty much all that's in the summary. But basically, it is a beautiful story of 4 generations of women in this family. Patricia, her daughter Chelsea, Chelsea's 2 daughters, one who is very young and one who is a teenager. And they all sort of end up on these different journeys and just, you know, they deal with their trauma. They have some moments of understanding. They bond, they fight. It's really, really good. It was a really lovely story. I mean, maybe lovely is not the right word because it was pretty intense. There's, a lot of abuse in here, so trigger warnings around the board. But I don't know. I think overall it did feel kind of lighthearted in the sense that, like, it is a story of a bunch of different women figuring out their lives and learning to live and survive and love each other. And that's what I wanted and that's what I got and I loved it. I also finished The Promise Neverland. What number is this? 4. Broke my freaking heart. Cried like a freaking baby. Ugh. But I've started volume 5. Which is also making me cry. I mean, look, I knew going in this is not a happy ending for most of these kids, but damn, it is such good writing and art, and I love it. So yeah, that's my reading update. I've moved on to my second female rage book of the week, and that is Animal. And I am 70 pages into the story. Now, this is written in kind of a strange way. It's this woman, Joan, who is telling the story as if telling it to someone she knows. And there's little hints dropped so far that makes me think maybe she's telling this story to her future kid, possibly, like a future daughter. But it's very mysterious right now on who she's actually talking to. And I will say at first I found it a little hard to get into. Joan is a very traumatized woman, and she has a lot of beliefs about the world and about men that are quite hard to read. And she's seemingly sort of gone after terrible men her whole life and been in some pretty messed up relationships. And it's kind of sad almost reading it. At first I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, because I don't really like the main character. But as she starts to open up about the trauma that she's been through, you start to kind of understand why she's the way she is. And it's actually gotten to the point now where I'm kind of really rooting for her, although I'm not sure what's going to happen. A big part of the story and what you find out right away is that she was having an affair with a married man who she worked with. I think he was like her boss. And that went on for a long time. And we start out the book with him showing up to a restaurant where she's on a date with another man, and he shoots himself in front of her in the middle of the restaurant. And this causes her to decide to give up everything and move to California. And she has no money, and she's living in a very sort of run-down canyon home. And she seems to be almost stalking this woman named Alice, but we don't know yet who Alice is. We also find out pretty quickly that her parents they died really tragically, it seems like, when she was about 10, but we haven't understood how that happened or what happened to them yet. And it seems that Alice may be tied to this death. So I don't love books usually where you just read being confused because things are just being mysteriously dropped, and it's, you know, as Angela says in The Office, I don't like to be titillated. And I don't like, I love a good mystery thriller, but in sort of more contemporary books where it's very much like meant to confuse you and they're like, oh, we're not going to tell you, I actually don't enjoy that at all. But I really like Joan, and I'm actually really starting to root for her, and I just want to find out what's going on. So in that way, it's good. You know, I around the 30-40 page mark, I was like, I don't know if this is for me, but the 70 page mark, I'm like, okay, this might be for me. Let's do this. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I will let you know more as I get further into this strange story. Come on, Tony. I know, bud. Come on, we gotta go. He does not want to walk in the rain. Come on.
The top, 2 by 2 we fall. Will we meet our end or meet our destiny? Hold your breath and roar. It's Thursday night. All ye clears, come join us. It's time to continue our flight. There is magic and mystery. Who knows what will happen?
Oh, get ready. It's Thursday night. I just finished this. I mean, wow. I've never read anything like it. I feel fundamentally changed after reading it. It is so much more than a female rage book. I mean, that is the core of the story, but it is so hard. Like, there's so much trauma in this book, but wow. I am so happy I read it, and I'm happy I stuck with it too. It was incredible. I mean, yeah, outstanding. 5 out of 5. Speechless. All right, I have finished Manhunt, which means I have completed all 3 of my Women Rage books. Hooray! This one I read on Saturday, and I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. I love the message. I love the originality, the creativity, but this type of horror is not for me. It was very gory, very crude, which I understand why, but it was a lot for me. So yeah, 3 out of 5 for this one. Tons of trigger warnings. Please do your research before honestly going into any of these books, to be fair. But yeah, I wanted to wrap everything up now that I'm done. They're upside down in the wrong way, but you know what I mean. So I think for my favorite is going to be the violence. For entertainment, this one I had the most fun reading. It was very entertaining, very fast-paced, very original. Loved this one. As far as the most moving for me, I'm going with Animal. As you've seen, it kind of left me speechless. It still has kind of left me speechless. You know, when people say, like, you really can take a bite out of a book, this is sort of how I feel about this. It's going to stay with me for a long time. I learned a lot. It's very reflective. It's very moving. But as far as enjoyment goes, you know, it's tough. It's a tough read. So, you know, you're not going to pick this up for fun on a Saturday. Obviously, this is the bottom of my pile. But overall, it was a pretty great female rage week. And honestly, if we're going to rate female rage, I would say all of these are a 5 out of 5 as far as female rage goes. I got what I was looking for, and I'm very grateful for it. So there we go. Another reading vlog done. Off the books, on the books. Don't know what that term is. Another reading vlog done. Thank you very much for watching this one. I know it's longer than usual, but there was 3 big old books to go through, and it was a bit of a themed week, so thank you for staying until the end, and I will see you guys in the next one.